Happy Sunday, everybody. We're going live. We are live. Give us a couple minutes. We're going to get our special guest for the day and Discreet on, and we're gonna get this off and going. Thank you for joining us as always. While we're waiting for today's show to get going, be sure to go check out Thursday's show that we had with Sasha Stone. It was a really deep, dope show. We talked about a lot of really, really fun things. Great hot takes. And then before that, make sure you go and check out Derek Rush's The Derek Denver. Funny ass comedian, very, very good friend of mine. We're at Discreet right now. Look at my cats fighting in the background. You know, it's live. Discreet, it did the thing where it said the guest declined the invitation, so you might have to do something on your end, brother. But I'll give it one more try. Yeah, I did the same thing, Discreet. I'm gonna get JP on. There we go. What's good, man? What's good? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Good morning. Good morning. We're about to get Discreet on. Sometimes again it's Facebook Live, as you know, shit can go awry. Sometimes, but we'll give it a quick minute here, man. But you having a good start to the Sunday so far?
Yeah, man. Over here making some country jams.
There you go. There you go. I like it, man. I like the variety that you bring, bro. It's dope. And what I like about that is just like artists in general, going different ways, which I know you can appreciate. It gives you not only range, but I think, at least for me in my experience, is just trying to fuck around with a little shit. It kind of just, if for nothing else, gives you some ideas, some additional ideas to kind of play around with. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
All right, so yeah, we're gonna get started with you. We're here. It's about 10:30 our way, 8:30 your way. Discreet's got 4:30 p.m. on his time, so let me see if I can get him on. Worst case scenario, he'll come on, but we're checking him out, and then we'll get it started, man. There he goes.
What's that?
Discreet, can you hear us, bro?
Yep, I can hear you.
There you go.
Sorry about the light.
Oh,
It's a shit day outside. Let's try and turn this light on. See if it makes a difference.
Oh, it's England. It tends to be a little dreary out that way, man.
No, it's not doing shit.
You're good, bro. But yeah, Discreet. Let me officially introduce you to JPZ, aka JP Winkler. P, you got Discreet the alien out there in England, my man.
What's up, Jay?
What's that? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. All good.
But yeah, we were able to get on with no issues. I will say this for everybody watching. This is probably what now, Discreet, maybe like our 21st, 23rd show, something like that. And we've only actually like been kicked off once, and that was on Thursday with Sasha. So if that happens, people, we are gonna come right back up. We got about an hour with our special guest JPZ today. So we're gonna maximize the value of that as best we can. At the end of the day. All right, so we're gonna get right down to it. If y'all are checking into We Outside for the first time ever, or if you're coming back, let me just remind you who we are. I mean, it's rooted in the culture of hip hop. It's something that we're all passionate about, which is why we started it, just to bring up conversation in general. Sometimes it leads to conversation that you might have heard in a different way that we're bringing it to you, or things that you may have never heard or considered, like rap in the Olympics a couple weeks back. You know what I mean? So we keep it real, it's our opinions, it comes from our love, but that's who we are. I mean, it's about love, it's about respect, and just speaking organically with our conversation here at the end of the day. So, obviously, as always, we're going to get going right off the top with our special guest later on for hip hop history. Discreet, let me know this morning. We got a very long list of hip hop history that we can speak on today. Very excited about that. We got some dope hot takes later on. But we're going to get right down to it. So, again, we got him right here with us, JPZ, the Kansas City boy. JPZ is an artist. He's a producer, was raised by Kansas City. I've known of JP for maybe about 3 years now or so. Honestly, certainly been following you. Always First and foremost, I mean, we bring people on to certainly speak on the music, but we also bring them on to speak about who they are. And one thing I've always appreciated about this individual here is he's a real one. He keeps it black and white. He just speaks it like it is. And he can do that because he is a real one. And when it comes to the music shit, this dude's been doing it for a minute. So with that experience comes the ability to speak on some shit. So we appreciate the time. We want to kick it over to you, let you introduce yourself to the people in your own words. And then we're going to start throwing out some questions to you. Again, organic conversation. If you have any questions for us throughout your segment, it's your segment. We outside, we can talk about anything that you want or not want at the end of the day. So, man, go ahead and let them know who you are and what you're about, bro.
I'm JPZ, artist, producer, writer from Kansas City, Missouri, by way of the Bay Area, California. You might have heard some of my music before. I've produced for quite a few artists. I'm also an artist myself, so yeah, JPZ, man.
There you go. If you guys are not following him and you are learning him for the first time today, you need to go give him a follow because you're going to learn some stuff today. And
get on Spotify too.
Yes. I know Discreet was running a lot of JPZ
There's
tracks.
a few tracks that I really like. But we'll talk about that soon.
No, absolutely. Discreet, you want to go off with the first question today?
You caught me off guard there, bro. You caught me off guard.
I tried to.
But yeah, good. There's loads of flipping questions, but the one that was just reeling around in my head, and I wasn't expecting to ask it until a bit later. But where you are now, JPZ, I was listening to some of your lyrics earlier, and it sounds like before you got into the music, you could quite easily be in prison right now. Is that right? Me thinking from what I was listening to?
Yeah, for sure.
Good. Yeah. So how did how did you go from being deep in that to being where you are now, like Tech9 and producing for all these awesome artists? Like,
I was just a knucklehead. I was just a dumb kid.
Yeah,
we all
I've been
were
there.
at some point.
I've been there.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just dumb.
I've been there.
Trying to be cool, really, any trouble or anything that I ever got into, really overall, was in the pursuit of the music. The music has always been the goal,
Yeah.
So, but just trying to fit in, just being a kid, being dumb,
Exactly. I've been there.
Unfortunately, a lot of that shit is, I don't know if it's promoted, but the industry definitely kind of gives more attention to some of the negative aspects of the streets or hip hop, and we get blinded by that, and
yes.
I was one of those kids that was influenced by that and thought it was cool. And the further you go down that road, the more you realize it's not.
I was in the same sort of situation, and I got a massive wake-up call. If the police were at my door 2 days earlier, I would have been in prison for a long, long time.
Word.
But they turned up a little bit late, and I think angels were looking down on me, because after that day, I stopped it all. Well, where I was at that time, it stopped that level of what I was doing. But yeah, I was so lucky. It made me just think, what the fuck am I doing?
Right.
Well, they definitely say it's all about timing, right? And then what are you ultimately given with, what are you going to do with opportunities that you're given? So Discreet, you were given that opportunity. Let's see, what that reason was for, ultimately. JPZ, I got a question for you, man, and it's really cool because Sasha Stone, who we had on Thursday's show, seems, from what I do know about you, with respect to like instruments and being trained, younger and early that way. She was the same way as well. So I'm very curious, and you and I have spoken on it a little bit as well. But if you could kind of share with the people outside with us today who opened that door, we appreciate you. Kind of let us know where that really started for you and kind of how that evolved, if you will.
Okay. For me, music started early on. Like as soon as I could walk, I was using wooden spoons, like kitchen spoons, as drumsticks and beating on everything, just being, you know, it was kind of obnoxious to my sister and to my mom, but you know, I was just beating on everything. And then early on, there was a book called Charlie Parker Played Bebop. And Charlie Parker is a jazz saxophonist, virtuoso from Kansas City that's really credited with like bebop, like the whole style of jazz that's bebop. And the book is called Parker Played Bebop. And that made me want to play saxophone based on Kansas City's jazz heritage and that book. And so Charlie Parker Played Bebop was actually a big part of making me want to get into music. And then when I was a kid, we had these clock radios, and there was a station in Kansas City that was called Oldies 95. And it was like the factory setting that the clock radio was on. And I never even searched out any other stations. I just listened to like oldies music, like Motown and soul and early rock and roll on that clock radio. And I got really into Stevie Wonder. My dad used to play Stevie Wonder, and my first piece of vinyl was actually Stevie Wonder. I'm showing my age, but my music was Stevie Wonder record because I heard Uptight by Stevie Wonder, and my dad told me that Stevie Wonder was like this child prodigy, that he was like making these songs when he was like 12 or 13 and he was blind. So Stevie Wonder, clock radio, and Charlie Parker Played Bebop. That's what made me fall in love. Those are my biggest memories of falling in love with music. And then later going on and taking saxophone lessons, taking guitar lessons, not ever really being all that good at it. It just continued to snowball until I finally found hip hop.
There you go. I could appreciate that. You know, I want to ask a question, you know, specific to Kansas City right now, because that's where you're from, where you've spent the majority of your life at this point, if I'm not mistaken, because I know you've been out, you know, out that way in the Bay for a couple of years now.
Right.
If you could, we always like to talk to people about, you know, their local influences with respect to, you know, a kind of a blend, whatever you want to speak on, not only to their music, but to maybe them as a person, as an artist. As well, you know, and that could be, because again, Kansas City, if y'all don't know Kansas City music, y'all got to tap the fuck in. We're going to talk about the vibe of Kansas City here in a little bit. But yeah, bro, just like, you know, what's influenced you at that local level, whether it's somebody, you know, that people might know, or most importantly, you know, names of people that might be known out there that just had an influence on you.
So my top 5, no particular order, for Kansas City MCs is Tech 9, Rich the Factor, The Popper, Ron, and Money G. That's my top 5. And they all had very specific influences on me personally, you know. So obviously, I think a lot of people are becoming familiar for, you know, some of my recent work with Tech 9. Everybody that is familiar with Kansas City hip hop knows me for my work with The Popper and Rich the Factor. Money G was a huge influence on me because I could see him in my neighborhood. Money G came from a group called Southside Posse in Kansas City, and they were one of the first hip hop groups really making noise in Kansas City. And that, you know, they were having Brother Lynch Hung and big features on their records. And then Money G was doing songs with Yo Gotti. He was doing songs with Rick Ross. He was, you know, he was really making noise in the industry. Money G's a real legend from Kansas City. I don't think he always gets the credit, but he was tangible. I could reach out and touch Money G. You know, he used to come up to my high school, and he would pick up me and my friend. And shout out to my guy Justin, exclusive SSP. He was one of my first rap partners, and he, you know, Money G had I think it was a Trans Am. It was a candy blue Trans Am on gold Dayton's, and I could really see him, and I could really touch him. And then I said Ron also. You know, Ron is a legendary MC from Kansas City, and he really blended the streets and lyricism and style. And you know, that's my top 5. My top 5, no particular order: Tech 9, Rich the Factor, the Popper, Money G, Ron Ron. That's my Kansas City top 5.
Nah, I can appreciate that. And you know what, everybody out there, that's the same way I got the top 5 barbecue joints from JP when he put me on some joints when we went up there a couple months ago. So what I like about that though, like, you know, when you talk about lists in general, like it's hard to like, because every piece, every person, everything's different, right? Like it might be rooted foundationally in something. Right now we're talking specifically, you know, Kansas City hip hop, right? But it's like, you know, anybody, again, JPZ, you know, dated himself. I'm about to date myself right now. It's like in Lethal Weapon said at the end when Joe Pesci was talking with Mel Gibson about his second wife. He's Mel Gibson, and for anybody that remembers, was like at the grave of his old wife, and he's like, yo, I still love my wife, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yo, it's cool. You could love your second wife, your new wife, in a different way, because you love different things. You love different people, different aspects. And that's the beautiful thing about life. So I appreciate that, you know, not only you breaking that down with your influences, but the way that you were to break it down. I want to keep on Kansas City for a little bit. What would you kind of describe, you know, the music vibe of Kansas City? I got to experience it for a short time, and I just absolutely loved it. The vibe of the city as a whole, it was all love for the 2 days that Chelsea and I were out there a couple months ago, and I really appreciated it a lot. But, you know, kind of just give me your thoughts and description of the vibe of the city as a whole, and certainly the music scene there as well.
Yeah, Kansas City is definitely a vibe. It's a cow town, you know. It's a cow town on the Missouri River, on the western side of the state of Missouri. You know, it's right on the border of Kansas. A lot of people think Kansas City is in Kansas, but the major metropolitan downtown area is in Missouri. And I'm from Missouri. I was born in Missouri. I lived in Missouri all my time there. So it's a vibe, you know. It's the Midwest, but it's also kind of, you know, Southern and country in a way. And, you know, jazz, blues, barbecue, hella, you know, hella rappers that I don't think get the credit because we've never had the spotlight shined on us like a lot of other regions, like a Memphis or Detroit or New York or LA. We've never had the big spotlight shined on us. You know, most people outside of Kansas City are familiar with either Tech or Rich the Factor, but I've always championed Kansas City hip hop because so many of my friends and so many of the artists that I listened to growing up, I thought were as dope as the industry. So to me, I think you asked the vibe of Kansas City, how would I describe it? And to me, it's like our barbecue, you know. It's got a lot of seasoning, it's got a lot of sauce, it's a lot of flavor, you know. It's smoky and bluesy and soulful at the same time. But the streets in Kansas City are also grimy and gritty, and it's hella West Coast influence. Like St. Louis is probably more Southern influenced because it sits on the Mississippi River and gateway to the West. And so Kansas City is a lot more linked to the West Coast and to the Bay Area in particular. So there's a heavy mob music influence. There's a very heavy Bay Area mob music influence there. So if you combine that with the countryness, the barbecue, the Midwest mixed with, you know, a heavy like mob music, West Coast influence, I think that's at least my experience and my style. For me, the big thing was actually cars. You know, you used to hear the music coming out of these cars in Kansas City. I have a really specific memory when I was a kid. I was coming out of, my dad used to take me to the bar with him. That's how I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know, we were coming out of my dad's favorite hangout is a place called Corner Cocktails on 85th and Warnell. And I remember coming out and it was a candy red Caprice on Dayton's and Vogue's, and the trunk was just rumbling.
No way.
The cars are like artwork, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm driving real slow, and the guy pulled up and he backed in, and he's listening to old school. He's not listening to rap. But you would this car, and you would think he's listening to some rap music. But I couldn't tell you what he was listening to. It was probably the Isley Brothers or something. But the trunk was just shaking, and you could see this red flaky paint and the gold wheels. And I remember seeing that, and I fell in love. I said, I don't know what I got to do, but I'm gonna get a car like that. I'm gonna just, you know, it's a style. It's a whole lifestyle.
Culture.
It's a whole style. You know, that was one of the big influential moments for me. Was seeing. I just remember seeing this car, and it's like bass boat candy, big thick flakes. You know, and the bass just shaking the trunk. And in the 90s and in the 2000s, it was like, now we've moved to a culture that's more based on the phone, right? And these small speakers, but it used to be about a system, right? It used to be a system, and like the early like Too Short records, the early Rich the Factor records, they were made, the early Mac Dre, the early E40, they were made to shake your trunk loose. They were trying to blow your speakers out of your trunk. And I just remember seeing like Kansas City's got this car culture, you know, and that was about, it was as big of an influence on me as the music. It's not even separate, like the same thing to me, you know. My dad always put systems in his, my dad was like, always had my dad was a truck driver, and he always had a like conversion van, right?
Okay.
My dad would always have a new conversion van. You know, they had TVs in them. He'd always put a new head unit in there, and he never had subs, but he'd go and take it and replace all the speakers. My dad was really heavy into music. He didn't play music, but my dad was always up on all the new music, whether it was country, hip hop, not so much hip hop, rhythm and blues. My dad didn't really like hip hop, but he knew where all the samples came from. He knew where all the samples came from. So my dad was up on a lot of, had good taste in music, and I'd be listening to hip hop, and he would know where the samples came from. So one time, one in particular moment, my dad took me to go see George Clinton, because I was so into like the G-Funk. I was so into he's like, this comes from P-Funk. This is Parliament Funkadelic. So I got to see the Mothership Land, and that's all. You know, that's all kind of goes together, I think, as far as Kansas City culture. You know, funk, blues, soul, jazz, West Coast, Bay Area, mob music, and cars, barbecue, bars, streets. That was my experience.
No, I thank you for sharing that, because I think that was the best way, honestly, to kind of, you know, break down that Cliff Notes version. Now, if y'all want to know more, go ahead and do your own research and full on history, because it's dope. Because again, you know, first off, shout out, you know, to Kansas City, everybody tapping in from Kansas City today. You know, thank you for being here with us and our special guest, because at the end of the day, we outside, but it's JPZ show today. At the end of the day, it's always our special guest show. So you said a couple things there that I think is kind of a pretty good segue to what I wanted to talk about as well. And we conversed a little bit about, you know, the Bay Area. You know, you're in the Bay Area now. So talk about, you spoke on it a little bit. Yeah, no, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, do your thing. Go ahead, do your thing, Discreet. But if you could, JP, talk about like that connection between Kansas City and the Bay Area. And if we could maybe talk a little bit about Bay Area music, you know, for a little bit as well.
I think the connection, hold on.
Nah, you're good. You're good.
That's gonna bother me. The connection between Kansas City and the Bay, like I touched on this a little bit earlier. It's crazy, because it's actually it's older than music, right? Because St. Louis has got the arch. You cross the Mississippi. Now, you know, when you had a bunch of people that were traveling west, like you cross the Mississippi River, there's a big arch. It's called the Gateway to the West. So Kansas City and Independence was literally like the stopping off points for the people that were going west, right? So people, like, they have a thing in KC called Santa Caligon Days, which is like Santa Fe, California, and Oregon trails all started from Independence, Missouri, which is, basically a suburb of Kansas City. Independence may be older than Kansas City. I'm not sure. So like literally, people were traveling west from Kansas City, and then, like one of those trails is basically 80 highway, right? And I-80 goes, I think, all the way across the country. And so it goes straight to the Bay, you know?
Yeah.
And people that connection has been there forever, right? And then later you had World War II, right? So San Francisco Bay there's a ton of jobs in Vallejo and Oakland. It's you know, these are big shipping hubs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people, like during World War II, there was a ton of forts because they're fighting in the fucking Pacific, right? So there's a ton of jobs on the docks, in the naval shipyards, in Vallejo and in Oakland. So lots of people are moving from the South into the Midwest to go escape racism and poverty and everything that's going on in the Midwest and the South. And so this big move happens during the World War II era to Vallejo and Oakland because of the jobs and the opportunity, and it's California. The weather is fantastic. The nature, the whole place is dope. So it's deeper than music, right? And the music circles back because I got to give credit where credit is due. E40, Be Legit, The Click, Sick With It Records. They're one of the first major independent record labels in the rap game, right? And E40's uncle, St. Charles Thurman, was a funk musician. And he had a black book that had a bunch of independent record stores, a bunch of promoters. He had all these connections from touring on what they used to call it the Chitlin circuit back in the day, right? So St. Charles had all these connections on how to distribute your music independently, how to be able to go and tour and do shows. So 40, Be Legit, D-Shot, Sugar T, the whole clique, they learned from St. Charles Thurman. He gave them the game. And then there was an independent record distributor in the Bay Area that was called City Hall Records. And they were distributing their music independently through City Hall Records. That's how they were literally, you hear the term out the trunk, that literally comes from E40, Be Legit, Sick With It Records, The Click. They're selling music out the trunk.
Yeah.
Legit 72 Cutlass. They all had cutlasses. Be Legit, Richie Rich, E40, they all had the cleanest cutlasses in the Bay. And they were literally selling music out of their trunk. And then they were touring and they were going to these little small cities that used in the jazz, blues, funk, soul days. It was called the Chitlin Circuit. Little Rock, Arkansas, Kansas City, Missouri, Wichita, Kansas, Detroit, Michigan, Flint, Michigan, Dallas, Texas, Shreveport, Baton Rouge, like all these underground clubs and record stores. They were going and making these stops, and those connections had already been there via just the fucking people traveling back and forth for years between Kansas City and the West Coast. And then the music, from the funk music, soul music, they had these connections to these record stores. They had these connections, and a lot of people, I think, like Be Legit or E40, Sway, and Tech Nine are all related. They're all like cousins. They have a lot of family. A lot of the artists in the Bay have a lot of family in the Midwest and in the South. So that bridge was built over time, and it was just a great market for them. And for us in Kansas City, one of the dopest things was you could go to the in-stores. They used to have things called in-stores because they had record stores. You had to go to buy, go to an album release, right? And there was my neighbors actually owned a record store called Recycled Sounds. And it was a used record store. And my mom trusted my neighbor. Her name was Ann Winter, rest in peace. She passed away a few years ago. But my mom trusted her, so she would take me when they would have in stores, and I would go and get to meet these artists and see these artists. You could touch them, and I'm a people person. Like, I'm a fan of people, and I think when you meet someone and you can reach out and touch them, you get a poster signed, you get your CD signed, it makes you relate to the music so much more. So E40, Be Legit, Mac Dre, and also Master P, right? Because Master P in the Bay Area at that time, and Master P got the independent game through the same channel, through St. Charles Thurman, through E40, Sick With It Records, and also JT the Bigger Figure. You got to give credit to JT the Bigger Figure. Get players. He is one of the big independent moguls in the rap game, period. And also he's super instrumental in the connection between Kansas City and the Bay Area, because there was a dude named Rich the Factor from Kansas City who was actually, he was just rich or young rich in Kansas City, and reached out to JT, who was, you know, they were blowing up at the time in the 90s, and he came out here, made his album Getting a Grip with JT the Bigger Figure and Get Low Players, and he came back to Kansas City, and he was no longer young rich, he was Rich the Factor.
That's what's up.
Factor. So that connection between Rich and JT is one of the first real bridges in hip hop, you know. So that's super important, because Rich is an independent mogul now on his own, but that's where it was started, between that, you know, the I-80 bridge, Kansas City to the Bay. So
that is fucking cool as fuck.
Growing too, you know, and I think you have to mention Mac Dre. You know, Mac Dre was, you know, we love Mac Dre. Like, my high school is defined by Mac Dre's music. You know, Cutthroat Committee, Thiz, the Rompilations defined like my childhood. So Mac Dre was another person that you could reach out and touch. And Mac Dre kind of brought the party atmosphere, right? Where mob music was more street related. It was grimy, it was gritty, it was made for the trunk. And Mac Dre was street too, but he brought this liveliness to it, where you could dance and just pop your collar and fucking, you know, like you, like it was different. It was almost like Mac Dre was like a hippie, you know what I mean? So he was vibrant, and he was just colorful, and he was funny, and he brought a different aspect to it. And I think for my generation, where the early days of the mob music is really before my time, right? In the early E40 and the Click is the late 80s, early 90s. And I was, you know, I was young to really be able to grasp it at that time. So Mac Dre, when Mac Dre came out, that was my generation, you know, and we just latched on to Mac Dre. At that time, it was also like a lot of the Sacramento music. So the big Northern California connection, because Sac, you know, is technically not the Bay, it's Northern California, you know, but it's the capital of California, and it's in Northern California. So the Sac music, like, doesn't get enough. They always talk about the Bay Area and Kansas City, but they don't always talk about Sacramento and Kansas City. So Sacramento is very influential as far as X-Rated, Brother Lynch Hung, SIBO, Marvelous, everything that was coming out of AWOL Records at that time. That was super influential for me too at that time, was SIBO, Brother Lynch, Looney Corleone, Killer Tay, all these Sac artists that were coming out to Kansas City also at that time was super influential. So you know, you had Mac Dre from Vallejo, everybody that was coming out of Thiz and Romper Room Gang, Jay Diggs, Kilo Kurt, Coolio the Underdog, Cutthroat Committee, and then everybody that was coming out of Sac. So it's been a bridge that was built over many years. And then, you know, unfortunately, Mac Dre died in Kansas City, you know, and for a lot of us that was big Mac Dre fans, like I mean, the Bay wasn't fucking with us. They blamed the entire city, you know, like you couldn't come out here. It's still you know, there's still a lot of people where if I'm wearing Kansas City shit, there's still some tension there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Thankfully, you know, shout out to Jay Diggs, shout out to Cool the Underdog. I've been embraced by the people from Thiz Entertainment that were Mac Dre's real friends, real Crestsiders from Vallejo. Like, I've gotten a chance to not only work with them, but I've been embraced, and they showed me love and featured me on their albums. And it's a bridge that's been built over time. So yeah, KC to the Bay. Shout out to Jacker too. Rest in peace to the Jacker, man. Because after Mac Dre passed, the Jacker really kind of opened that door back up, you know. So shout out to Jack, man, because the Jack, he opened that door back up when the Bay wasn't fucking with us. The Jacker was one of the people that was coming back to Kansas City and doing shows and bringing Kansas City artists to the Bay. So,
well, And definitely thank you for sharing that. And it's dope too. Like, I mean, I definitely want to touch on something that you said about Mac Dre, as well. But it's nice that you were able to have that connection and be able to bridge that back because, the things that were built, just to think if maybe for a long enough time period that had stopped, what would become of that, as it pertains to like the music and culture as a whole, right? But you said something about Mac Dre that really stuck out to me. When I was just doing some, I always like to do as deep amount of research as I can. But his first volume 1 of the Rockulations dropped in '96, right?
Yeah.
It was, and you certainly would know more to this, so certainly fact check me if need be. But from what I was able to gather, he really did the Roculation more as kind of to promote his friends, and it was just all about love, like you said. He was kind of like a hippie type of dude who just loved that fun, and it really, I mean, just some of the people that were on this. Mac Mall was on a TikTok. Was it Baby Bash, PSD, Mac Lee, the Five Footers, Young Lay was on it. Fucking, it was a big ass album with a lot of people on it. And I just love the fact specifically why I wanted to bring that up. Other than the album just goes pretty hard as fuck. It was mainly
I was listening to it earlier.
To promote his friends on, which I thought was pretty dope. And I just wanted to share that for people that might not necessarily know that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a whole movement. Mac Dre's from the Crest, and there's Mac Mall's from the Crest. Jay Diggs is from the Crest. Julio, the Underdog. I mean, all those dudes are super talented. Doobie, Sugar Wolf, the whole Thiz, Romper Room, all just super talented dudes, man. So yeah, and Mac Dre. I mean, what can you really say, man? The dude was an icon, and he really got cut short. And I feel like a lot of people really took a lot out of his playbook because before Mac Dre, there wasn't a lot of people that were, that open, wearing tie-dye shirts and being a hippie and kind of being funny. And hip hop was more like aggressive and macho, and like Mac Dre was being vulnerable in a way. He's dancing and like it's a lot of psychedelic influence. The Bay Area has been like a hub for fucking plant medicine and psychedelics, right? And I think Mac Dre is pretty much the first one in rap that was really like opened about like thizzing and eating mushrooms and being different and like open up his mind to different type of experiences. So I think that
he sounds like my kind of dude.
Yeah,
Mac Dre.
That's what was yeah, Mac Dre was just a dope dude, man. Beautiful human being. Peace to Mac Dre. Shout out to everybody with Thiz and the Crest Side, Jay Diggs, man, Coolio the Underdog, Kilo Kurt.
No, most definitely. And because we got you for about another 25 minutes, give or take, if my time is serving me correctly. So I definitely want to, and we both, I know Discreet wants to as well. And we could come back to anything else as well, but we certainly want to talk about you and your work and experience as both an artist and a producer, if we could as well. And as it might translate into something, let's bring it back if we need to. My first question to you regarding that, and again, it could be one of those things where it's so different, but with respect to producing and with respect to being an artist, do you have a favorite? Do you love both for what they give you? What's that like for you? Because, and I'm going to bring this up too, speaking about knowing you for a little over 3 years, I said this one time because I meant it at the time. Once I knew that, you actually spit as well, because I knew you first and foremost as a producer.
Right.
And I called you fucking Neon Dion, bro. Like, and I meant it when I said that 3 years back, and I still mean that shit today. So to even bring it a little bit of a football analogy, do you like playing one or the other, or again, do you just kind of like love them both for what they allow you to do from a creative standpoint?
It's an interesting question because I was an artist first. Well, I was a musician first, but the human ego is a motherfucker. Everybody wants to be seen and be the star of the show, right?
Yeah.
And of course, there's nothing like being the artist. Like I learned how to produce because I wanted to rap, and I didn't have people that were willing to make beats for me for free. And at that time, it was costly. I mean, it was a different world. It wasn't Fruity Loops and all that stuff. It, you know, it took $10,000 to have a production set up, basically. You know, so I just learned. I figured out how to make beats because I wanted to rap, and I wanted to make beats for my friends. I was in rap groups, and I learned how to make beats because I wanted to rap. So I like them. I'm a musician. I'm an artist. I learned how to do it to express myself. So I like both. I consider myself kind of like a singer-songwriter because I've really only ever rapped to my beats. I think there's a few times, a few different features that I've done that are other people's beats. Maybe one or two, to be honest, that I featured on somebody else's record that's not my beat. Because I know how I want it to sound.
Exactly.
You know? So I like both. I like both. I've always liked both. I'm a human, man. I like attention and I like the fame and glory. So I like when I get to get out there and be in the spotlight. But also, one of the things that I understood early on is that there's a lot of people that are good at rap, and there's a lot of people that want to do that and want to have that ego spotlight. And it's easier, and you'll get a lot farther for any of the artists that are out there listening if you can play a role and serve other people and help other people, be an asset to other people. It gets you a lot further. You get to get into a lot of different rooms. I've gotten to be in a lot of cool places based on being an asset and being a producer and learning when to keep my fucking mouth shut, you know, and not, I got to be the star of the show, you know, learning to surrender my ego and just play my role got me a lot farther. And that's why a lot of people
I have found that too. That is so true, that is, because I learned a little lesson along the way in very similar circumstances, wanting to be a bit of, you know, get myself out there, and it backfired on me a little bit.
Oh yeah,
but that's another story.
It happens. It's the human ego. Everybody, we all want the spotlight. And
exactly.
You get a lot further by serving others and just being an asset to people, man.
Yeah.
Like I got on a song with E40, Yo Gotti, NBA Youngboy, three of the biggest rappers, best rappers that have ever done it. And it's 3 generations of all the shit that I love. And I got in that position by being an asset. And had I just wanted to be, I can rap, I can do this, I can do that. I just went into it with the idea of I'm going to cook up the best records I can for E40. And a lot of times as a producer and a songwriter, I hear concepts and I hear words. So instead of like, you know, trying to put a verse on there and I've fucked up. I've sent verses and I've sent songs to artists. And a lot of times it'll turn people off because they're like, I don't hear you rap, dude. Especially like, hey, boy, I don't want to hear you rap. Like, shut up. sit in the back, shut up. Yeah, I think being an asset. So for anybody that helps, being an asset and serving others gets you in a lot more doors than I got to be the star of the show.
Definitely.
No, I got to appreciate that. But before we get to the next question, for anybody that was wondering from before, Independence, Missouri was incorporated in 1827, and Kansas City, Missouri was incorporated as a town 1850, 1853. There were two different incorporations. So bringing that history back, you know, to Missouri from earlier.
Independence was first.
Yep, 1827. Yeah, you were on point there. You know your history. That's a damn thing.
Have a game called Oregon Trail on my old computers. Y'all ever play?
Yo, I love playing Oregon Trail.
Oregon Trail starts off in Independence, Missouri, because that goes back to that Santa Caligan days.
That's pretty wild.
I think Santa Caligan days in Kansas City is next weekend. So that's crazy.
Wow, the timing of everything.
History.
Exactly.
Y'all got a little bit of. I'm a fucking history nerd too, so we could go way deep on some.
I love history. Maybe we'll have to do that for another show down the road, because I'll sit here talking history all day long. Absolutely.
Esoteric philosophy.
Discreet. I know you got some questions. I'm gonna shut up for a minute. What else you want to ask JPZ while we got him for the next like 15-20 minutes?
Have you got any plans to bring out any more rapping projects like in the near future? JPZ?
I do.
Oh, you do?
I absolutely
Ooh.
do. I got the first 2 singles ready off of my next project. I have about 40 songs right now that we're sifting through, tightening up some loose ends, doing some mixing and mastering. I have my singles ready. I've got a video that's about to drop, and I got a whole rollout. So 2 singles right now that are coming. First is going to be Trial by Fire, and hopefully we'll have the video ready this week, maybe even today or tomorrow. And then Medication, featuring my guy Cass, one of my best friends in the world, my partner in Wreck the Beats.
Wicked.
So yeah, I definitely got an album coming. Yeah, John Patrick.
No dates yet, but is that no certain dates yet, or?
No, I don't have a release date for the full project. We'll roll out a single at a time. We will have a video this week, though.
Oh,
that's what's up.
We got dropping this week. So.
There you go. I'll definitely be looking forward to that. Everybody, make sure you're keeping your eyes peeled. Go make sure if you're not following him and liking his page, go do that, because that's where you get the information on the drop, I'm sure, first and foremost. So go check him out there. I got a question kind of back to the producing. With respect to getting to work with the people that you've worked with, right? What's it like for you? I mean, let's just use that as an example. I'll use, individuals such as E40 and Tech, because they've been doing this for a minute, right?
Yeah.
And you've had the opportunity to work with them. What's it like for you from the standpoint when you're going in to work with them on a single, a full project, whatever the case might be? If you're maybe wanting to hear something different, or maybe influence them in a way that you feel just from what you're hearing, and I say feel because, and getting to talk, about music the way that it's about feels, right? And people are gonna have different feelings towards a track. What's kind of your direction in working with somebody like that to kind of, for lack of a better word, influence them, or kind of like, I don't want to use the word pitch necessarily either. Maybe that's the best word to use. You're gonna know that better than I. To kind of have them buy into just like your thoughts and your ideas. What's a conversation, generally speaking, like with an artist like that? You don't have to get specific. You can if you want, but I'll leave that up to you.
Well, it varies from artist to artist, I would say. Some artists are just looking for beats. Some artists trust my input. I think most people, most of my friends, most of the artists that I have a personal relationship with, trust my taste. And I know how I like. Music is emotional, energetic, right? So the beat is made in a certain energy, and something in life influenced me to feel the way that I'm expressing through the beat machine. So I usually know what the song, it's not even usually, I know what the song is about. I know what the music is about, and music is personal. So it's usually somebody else's take on that, but it varies from artist to artist. So like with 40, for example, 40 is totally open to me sending reference tracks with hooks and my ideas. I'll send him hooks all the time, and 40 don't mind. I'll send an instrumental, and then I'll send my hook idea. 40's also open to me sending him verses. Like sometimes I have a verse on there. Like, man, if you want to feature me on there, that's dope too.
Yep.
40 is really humble, and he's really smart, and he has a good ear for music. So if it's dope, he's gonna like it. If it's not, he's either gonna tell me it's not, or I won't hear anything. Different artists have different processes. As far as like working with Tech, like Tech is a mental giant. Tech is a genius. He is a next level mind, and he is usually pretty sure on what to do. And from my perspective, he's almost like, his ear is so keen, and I think he's so in tune that he just kind of knows what the beat is saying, And it's a relationship, like Tech and I's relationship over the course of a couple years now, working on this project. I think he's opened up to me more, and shout out to Black Walt, who's A&R in it and putting the whole thing together. And we're trying to bring a certain feel that we all got as Tech Nine fans in Kansas City, right? There was a certain era of music, I don't know if you guys are familiar with, Tech's early career, but pre-Strange Music, Tech on a label called Midwest Side, right? and he had some massive hits that defined my life. Like, Let's Get Fucked Up, Mitch Bade, Cloudy Eyed. Like, this was the Road Dogg Villain era. Shout out to Diamond Shield. Shout out to Big School. Shout out to everybody in the 50s. This was a very unique era in time that made us all love Tech Nine, Planet Rock. Like this, so it was a feel for the people in our neighborhood and our community that we got that I don't think the rest of the world got to experience, you know, because Tech grew when he blew up so fast. When he met Travis, they started Strange Music, and, you know, within a matter of a decade, became the biggest independent record label in the world, right? And there was a very specific feeling that that Tech Nine blew up in our city from. So we're trying to, long story short, I tend to go off on a tangent.
So good. I'm the same way.
It's good though.
As producers and songwriters, we try to bring the best out of the artists, and we try to, it's about capturing a certain feel. And so I think when you build a relationship with an artist, it becomes a lot easier. And I also have a project with Richie Rich that's coming out. I did every single song except one, and then we have a volume 2 that's going to follow it up, and we're already probably 6 to 7 songs deep on that. And Rich, you know, Rich is like a big brother. Rich is like an uncle. He's one of my closest friends. One of, you know, maybe one of the biggest influences I have in life in general. And Rich and I, our history is crazy. You know, like I'll name the beat something, and then he'll call me 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, and he's rapping a verse based on what I named the beat, you know? And so a lot of the stuff projects is normally I'll have the concept and I'll name the beat something, and, you know, I'll send him the beat, and then, you know, maybe an hour or sometimes a day later, he calls me back and he's rapping to the subject matter that basically I titled the beat off of, you know? So
that's cool.
It varies from artist to artist, you know, but the point is it's about building a relationship with somebody. And I think for producers, having that artist trust your taste.
Yes.
And I think I have, with the guys that I work with, I have a reputation of, I got good taste in music, man. I love hip hop. I'm very knowledgeable, and I know, okay, this beat should sound like this. And I think you develop that relationship with people, and they trust your taste.
No, I can very much appreciate that, and
I agree with that.
And I literally feel that, and you both know this because, you know, honestly, you know, and JP, you know this because we've literally talked about this, Discreet, you and I as well. Like, I've always felt music, right? But I've never, like, really made music up until literally, like, the last, like, 13 months now, honestly, at this point. And it never really hit me until, you know, I was working on something with you about the feel of it all, right? And ever since I've learned that with you, you know, my very next, after I wrote that track, the one where we cut off the third verse, then I was like, okay, we're cool. Then I went and I wrote to a Discreet beat, and it was the first time ever, other than working with you, I was like, what'd you call this beat, and what's your feel for it? And it was, you know, he tied it, I think it was Source of the Pain too, if I'm not mistaken, Discreet. So it's, you know, for me as you know, being a newer artist and trying to feel out my sound and I can appreciate that, and I've told you that, and I'm telling you now again to the both of you as well, because it's about feels. And Sasha said it on Thursday, which is going to lead me to my next question for you. You got to channel the feeling, right? You got to channel it, because we were talking about Letter to the West, because she was the female that did the vocals on Letter to the West, and she's like I don't do shit like that, but she's like she was literally in the studio, and she's like, I just channeled what your message was and what the music was telling me. And it was dope because I ended up doing my first performance, live performance ever on Thursday, literally that night. And that's what I did. I just channeled it. I blocked everything out, right? And I felt the music because I didn't know. I had a feeling what
it went well.
Happen. But
have you watched it yet? Have you watched that video?
I haven't watched it
yet. You want it, man?
Honestly,
you done well. You fucking done well. You done well.
Today. But my question to you from an artist standpoint, you know, from that JPZ is, what's it like for you when you get on stage and an artist? What's that first initial before you kind of like step on, or a little before, emotion wise, feeling wise, if you will? And sorry, second part of that question, do you remember your first ever performance as an artist ever?
Yeah, I do remember my first ever performance. My first ever performance was in a Catholic church, and I was taking guitar lessons. And this is really early on in the Charlie Parker Plays Bebop era. So I was in grade school, and I was not very good at guitar. And I could have been. I don't think I understood at that time the commitment it took. I just wanted to pick it up and be a fucking rock star immediately.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand the whole commitment and hard work thing at that time. And so I was like the least talented guy out of the guys that I took guitar lessons with. It was probably a group of 4 or 5 of us. And so what the teacher had me do was turn over the back of the acoustic guitar and play it like a drum, because that I understood and that I could do well. So I didn't even play at the recital because I couldn't play any of the songs all the way, but I beatboxed basically on the back of the guitar. So that was my first like public performance as a kid. And I think, to your point, you're channeling something, right? It's, to me, you could be channeling something negative, or you could be channeling the Most High. To me, it's spiritual. It's like the gospel, which is interesting that my first performance was at church. So I think singing and performing, there's always that bit of nervousness, right? You get the butterflies, your heart starts beating fast. I struggle with a lot of like self-loathing and self-doubt. So, don't fuck this up, Winkler. All my guys know, like everybody that, Mogul, Cass, Popper, like any of the guys that are really close to me know I practice rigorously, like I'm fucking training for the Super Bowl before a show, because I like to do a good job. And I'm a bit of a show off also. So not only do I do a good job and give the crowd a good experience, I want to crush the competition, which is not a good place to come from, to be honest with you, because what you want is my best shows is like when I'm in a place of love. You know what I mean? When I'm like, I want to crush the competition, I'm too bunched up and it's too competitive. That's a dark, lower frequency.
Appreciate that.
Bit negative.
It's negative. You know what I mean? But when you're it's the gospel, bro. It's the gospel. You're channeling something divine. And when you lead with your heart chakra, and it's like cooking a great meal for somebody, music and art in general, creativity.
The ripple effect.
It's a gift, man.
Yeah.
You're giving somebody a gift. Like, man, I worked so hard this because I want you guys to have a great time and enjoy yourself. And
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Just putting out a song and 5 people saying to you, I really like that. You've put a good effect on 5 people. And then they might talk about it to someone else. And it's just, you
do it because you love it. You love to do it. And I've always loved to do it, but I've gotten I've gotten so caught up sometimes in the business of it, right? In the materialism and the greed of it, especially with hip hop, and I'm a dark, greedy bastard, my first big song was I'm a hustler. I'm a motherfucking hustler. Like I wanted to ball. Like I came up with street music and hustler music. Like I wanted to be like Rich the Factor and Master P and E40. And I remember hearing E40 got a $3.5 million deal, the first big multi-million-dollar deal in hip hop, and then remember when Baby and Cash Money got 100 million from Universal Records. And as dope as that is, it also, it made me super dense and it makes the music and the performance super mechanical and robotic. And I think when you're in that, when you have something move, the spirit is moving through you, that's something different. You're doing that out of pure love. And it's almost like, you know, like sometimes I'll just sing or play keys or I'll just rap because I love how it feels. Recording the song, I just love to rap. Some days I just put on my songs and one thing I probably should show more of is, you know, every morning I have my post where I'm working out, up early, working out. I try to do that consistently to show whoever pays attention to me the power of consistency and hard work and getting up early and staying on it. But one thing that I do in that too is I also do my set list. Like I'm also up in the morning and I do that because it cultivates this energy in my heart space where I just feel something so good. And I'm not recording it. I'm not putting it online. I'm not putting the verse. I just do it because it's like it makes me feel so good. Like I love looking in the mirror and like b-boying and posing and posturing and of memorizing my rhymes and being able to execute a fucking dope ass rhyme, you know, and you get in the groove, you get in that little space in the beat, and it's flow state. It's like channeling something, and it's a beautiful thing. And I think to speak to your point, that's when the best performances are. That's when the best performances are. That's when the best music is made. That's when any of the best moments in life is when you're in the now. You're in the moment and you're doing it out of love and you're doing that with others, man. It's you know, it's spiritual, you know.
100. I definitely felt that on Thursday, and it was dope. So no, I appreciate sharing your experiences and your thoughts towards that as well, because it definitely resonated with me. I know we got to get you out of here in a couple minutes, if I'm not mistaken, JPZ. Discreet, I'm going to let you end up asking one more question before we let him out. But I just want to say people are keeping score out on that Beats 365. I think today's day 89 or 90. So we're keeping score, bro. Okay. Just salute to the consistency out there. Like you just kind of mentioned that, like, bro, for real, man. Like first and foremost, I'm a fan, bro. Like I love how you move. I love what you do. I love how you do it. It's black and white with you. I've had many a conversation with you, and I tell you this all the time, but I'm telling all these motherfuckers out here, this motherfucker, I will fuck with this dude every goddamn day of the week, man. Like for real. I appreciate the fuck out of you for everything. I appreciate you taking the time today. Y'all need to go fuck with JPZ. Like for real, if you're not, you need to know right now, because that's just the fucking truth right there. So I'm gonna kick it over to Discreet for one last question or thought that he might have. And then JPZ, we'll let you just, you know, we'll let you write it out from there because I know you got to get going. Answer whatever comment or question that he has, and then if you want, take the final minute or two that you have with us, and honestly, you talk about whatever the fuck you want to talk about in that couple minutes, bro.
But yeah, my question, JPZ, mate, it is a very simple one-word answer. Who is your favorite hip-hop producer of all time?
Dr. Dre.
There you go. There you fucking have it.
Dr. Dre.
No way. I must admit, I wasn't expecting Dr. Dre, but I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be mentioned, but I was expecting someone else. I don't know who, but yeah, Dr. Dre deserves that title.
Dr. Dre, no question.
By anyone.
Biggest influence, Dre, for sure.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Now there you go. Well, we're gonna let you right out, but any final thoughts that you wanna share with the people while you're outside with us today?
I would say, you know, if I can share anything with anybody is do it out of love, man. Do it out of love. Don't get caught up in the results and just do it because you love it. You know, I've been a long time. I've been able to achieve some really dope things. I've also done some really stupid shit. I've made some really bad mistakes, made some really bad music. And the best things that I've ever done in life come from when I'm operating out of love right here in this space. If you don't know what it is, you can use your body to figure it out. It's when you feel that little fuzzy feeling right here that you get from a puppy or your mom or your girlfriend or your kids or nature. Sometimes you get that little, when that energy vibrates right in here in the heart space, like that's when I feel like you make your best shit, you accomplish your coolest things, and you help the most people is when you do it out of love and you do it out of service to others. That's the biggest thing I can share with anybody that's trying to do it in consistency, hard work, showing up every day. It's a numbers game. So if you show up every day and do just a little bit of work with compound interest over 365 days, it really makes a huge, you'll be blown away at what you'll
tell you something I heard one day, JPs, you might have heard it yourself, that 18 minutes a day, every day of the year, 18 minutes a day, which, you know, we do more than that, me and you. Well, and Mike. But that's all you need, and that will automatically put you in the top 5% of whatever discipline you're practicing. Do you know what I mean? Whether that's piano, being a karate kid, being a boxer, 18 minutes a day, you're going to be in that. I think that's about 40 million people. So you're going to be in that top 40 million.
That's dope.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
18 minutes.
But yeah, a day.
Testify to that. That's real.
Yeah.
That's real. Yeah.
Well, bro, we appreciate your time. I know you got a lot of shit to do. We're a link up. I definitely, when you have the time, got to get your thoughts. If you had the chance to listen to that second take on that Whoa thing. I let Discreet hear it yesterday, I think. So I think I'm moving in the right direction, but I definitely want to hear your thoughts. You know, when we can link up and chop it up as well. But like, bro, for real, appreciate the time that you took to open up that door and be outside with us today, man. It was well worth it, man. Like the knowledge, the information, the history. We appreciate you, bro. For real.
All good. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Hey, man, you have a good rest of the weekend, man. We'll definitely be linking up, bro. All right. Good.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Nice meeting you and talking to you, JPZ, bro.
Likewise, brother.
Cool.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get JPZ off. He's got to go about his busy day.
He's cool, man.
He's cool. Dope conversation.
Definitely.
You know, I'll tell you right now. It was the longest like conversation and interview that we had segment. It's more of a conversation when we talk with people, right? Definitely. It's not an interview. Like it was worth every fucking minute. So, bro, like for real, like everybody, like if go to his page right now. I don't care if you leave the live.
Real humble as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, he's a real one. Always have appreciated him. You know, getting to know him from afar. And now getting to work with him and speak with him on a different level it's been very enlightening. It's been very helpful, different than conversations that I had with you as well. So
exactly, yeah,
absolutely dope, dude. Absolutely dope. So I mean, again, we've already gone about an hour. We'll go because here's the deal. Obviously, you know, we do this on Sundays and Thursdays.
Yeah.
People, so we can speak on a little bit of you know, we'll go to our hip hop history today because we're not going to sit here for another hour, people. We very easily could longer than that.
We could.
We both have, as much as we love this, we have lives and we have families and shit to accomplish today as well. Right?
Exactly.
You know, that was a dope segment though. For real.
That's the main part of it. So do you know what I mean?
That's what it is.
It's the less important part.
Yeah, man. So for everybody shouting out, you know, I got Alex Moore. Alex, what's up, brother? Thanks for tuning in today.
What's up?
Everybody that tapped in from, you know, the KCMO area, like for real. I went to KCMO 2 months ago for the first time ever. I might be up there next weekend, as a matter of fact. So we'll see. But man, I love KC. I cannot wait to go back. I'm going back as soon as possible. Maybe next weekend. We'll see.
Yeah.
So yeah, dope.
But yeah, JPZ's music as well. I mean, get on Spotify and listen to him because I was pleasantly surprised. I've heard one track of him before, but there's 3 tracks of him that just so happen to be in the most popular 5. Yes. I really love them. I had them on repeat.
Nah, they're really nice. So again, it's dope, and you know, he's a dope producer, dope artist. And again, even a better human being. And that's, you know, anybody watching this right now, if you're an artist of any kind, musically or otherwise, if you're interested in being a guest on the We Outside Livecast, hit us up, man. Like, we just love having good, dope conversation with people about their art, who they are, how it's rooted in the culture. And everybody's welcome outside. So all you got to do is reach out to us, man. It's real. It's love. It's all organic too. Like we'll be transparent with everybody first and foremost. But with that said, we're gonna, bro. You want to pop right into hip hop history? Yeah,
man. I will.
Let's get it.
Birthdays first. This is from the 19th to the 25th of August. So Monday, the 19th of August, right? Mm-hmm. It would have been Nate Dogg's birthday. He would have been 55. But R.I.P. to Nate Dogg, man.
Yes.
And
yes.
on the same day, Fat Joe would have been 54. So happy birthday for Monday.
Shout out to Fat Joe.
On Tuesday, the 20th of August, KRS-One was 59. Legend. Like,
man.
He's like a pillar of hip hop.
Legend in his own right. We talked about him last Thursday. On Thursday.
Yeah. He comes up quite a lot.
Yeah.
But he is. He's like a god of hip hop. He really is.
100%.
He's like a teacher. But on Thursday this week, the 22nd of August, it was Gizz's birthday from Wu-Tang Clan.
Okay.
And yeah, he would have been 58. That was his 58th birthday. And Sunday, today, Terminator X of Public Enemy is 58. But unfortunately, as well, it would have been Shock G, aka Humpty Hump's birthday. He would have been 61 today.
Yeah.
But he's passed and left us. But yeah, legend, man. It was Humpty Hump. But yeah, releases.
Yes.
On the night.
I'm excited about releases today.
It's a long list, man. But yeah, I'll get started. August the 19th on 1997, OC released his second album, Jules. And on exactly the same day, Royal Flush released his debut album, Ghetto Millionaire.
Ooh.
And that's a sick album. And on exactly the same day, but in 2003, T.I. released his second album, Trap Music. Yeah. Right, August the 20th. There's 4 releases on this day throughout the history. But the first, there's 2 on the same day, exactly the same day. Earl Sweatshirt released his debut album, Doris. I haven't listened to him for a while, but he's quite good. He is. I like Earl Sweatshirt. And exactly the same day, ASAP Ferg released his debut album, Trap Lord.
Oof.
So on this day in 2012, August 20th, not this day exactly, but JJ Doom released the album Key to the Cuffs. 20th of August again, 2002, Clips released their debut album, Lord Willing. I've got a quick question for you. Name that, like, it's such a popular track. It's track 4 on the album, right? Do you know the track? It's probably their most popular single ever.
Grinding.
Got it. You got it, man. Oh, man.
On that note, shout out to Illness, who did a track over that beat.
Yeah.
Go check out our brother, Mr. Run It Back, Illness, ILLNIS. It's on his YouTube channel, but go check out what he did to that grinding beat. But that's a classic.
It's on one of the Now I'm Serious mixtapes. But yeah, sick. But yeah, so there you go. You got your hip hop question right today. Now we're going on to August the 21st. 2007, Talib Kweli released his third album, Eardrum. That's a fucking good album. That's a good album too.
Yes.
August the 22nd, 2006, Jay Dilla released his third album, The Shining. So yeah, that's another classic one. August 24th, 1999, this album is sick. The High and Mighty released their debut album, Home Field Advantage. I had to listen back to some of that. It's brilliant. Exactly the same day, but 1993, the Alcoholics released their debut album, 21 and Over. Yeah, and then just to finish it off, like this is like legendary. The 25th of August in 1998, Lauryn Hill released her debut album. What was the name of that again?
The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
That's it.
Still a dope listen today.
Yeah.
Still a dope listen.
But there's so many dope albums that I just read out, man. Like Royal Flush's album. Fucking Clips, Talib Kweli, Jay Dilla, The High and Mighty. That album, The High and Mighty.
So man, what do we speak on today? All right, so here's what I'm going to speak on today. And for anybody out there watching this live right now, or that was watching this after the fact. What we do here is we take about maybe like 2 to 3 things that just stand out to us real quick from the hip hop history that Discreet so eloquently read to us.
There's too many this week.
There's too many, but I'm gonna pick. I'm pick. I mean, Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. It's just go listen to the album. I'll listen to that album any day. So there's my thoughts on that. Talib Kweli. I love conscious hip hop. I love people that bring authenticity with their message. Like he puts on a show talking about performances. You know, that was something we talked on today with JPZ. I got to see. I was lucky enough to see Talib perform in Colorado at Colorado State University.
Cool.
Which is actually going to be brought up on Thursday's show. Anybody tap in right now? We're going back to KC on Thursday. We're bringing Mr. Joe Black in. If y'all don't know Joe Black, y'all need to go check out.
That's going to be hell of a
official.
show.
Yo, bro, like for real. But yeah, just his vibe. Like he's a real one. He does it for the music, for the culture, out of his heart. Like JPZ was talking on, you know, the last part of his segment there. If y'all are just tapping in right now, by the way, go listen to the first hour. Go watch that first hour. Because it was some dope conversation. And then lastly, I'm gonna speak on T.I. T.I. is one of my favorite rappers. That Trap Music album is just absolutely phenomenal.
Damn. Phenomenal. I didn't know that. I didn't know he was one of your favorites.
He is. I love T.I. I just love his style. Love what he talks on. He's a real one too. Like, you know me and when I say the statement is true. Like, I love authentic music. I love people that bring a real message that I can relate to. That's what it's about when it comes to music for me. You know, not only music that I listen to, but I think that's fair to say about the music that I make. Right? You know, the lyrics that I put in. I want people to hear a message out of it. You know what I mean? So those are my thoughts on hip hop history this week. What about you or anybody else out there watching? What are your thoughts on hip hop history this week?
Well, like I said, there's so many, but like the Clips, that album, it's just sick, isn't it? And just legendary. And Talib Kweli, like you said, a lot of the same things I would say. I love him. The High and Mighty. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I forgot about that album. And when I seen it, when I was doing my research, I went back to listen to it, and oh my god, like how did I forget about it? It's a hell of a brilliant album. That is, it's brilliant. It just takes me back to a place in hip hop that's it was so authentic. But the Alcoholics just bring back memories of Exhibit for me, to be honest. But that album in particular, it's still a good album, but they always remind me of Exhibit, and Lauryn Hill speaks for itself. But yeah, long list there.
No, absolutely.
Royal Flush as well. Like, I don't know what ever happened to him, but that album, Ghetto Millionaire. Millionaire? Yeah, sounded like I said it wrong. That's a good album too.
Dope hip hop history this week. We're gonna end up making one hot take today, obviously in the end of time. You know, we're gonna talk about this stuff again on Thursday with our you know, a little bit after we get off with you know, our special guest again, Joe Black official is gonna be our next special guest, going back and staying in KC this week when we get with him on Thursday. So what I'm gonna do is, you know, we talked a lot about Bay Area music and the differences, you know, very briefly. You know, JP's was able to really differentiate for us, you know, mob music, hyphy music, Bay Area music, and I think he put that together so well, because a lot of people Discreet, and we've had this conversation before, when you start breaking down the genres, the subgenres of of hip hop, you know, people hear mob music and
did you hear that?
No.
Oh, good. My little switch is working now.
You know, people hear mob music and they immediately think Mob Deep, or they think music made that's like mob related when we're talking about like the Mafia, La Costa Nostra, you know what I mean? And that's not the case. And I think that was a very well put way that, you know, JPZ broke it down for everybody today. But you know, just a couple notes. We're going to talk about a couple notable albums, out of the Bay Area as well, and then we're gonna make the hot take of the week, and then give our final thoughts and let everybody go about their business. But you know, like we said, you know, Bay Area music, you know, San Fran, Sacramento area, that Northern Cali area, kind of like, you know, I'm not even going to talk more on the history. You need to go and learn that earlier. But yeah, it began really in the
Yeah,
early 90s.
listen to what JP was saying. He was talking some history earlier.
Man, for real. Usually a little maybe slower type tempo, some synthesizers, deep bass, anything that you have to add because you're a producer of music as well. So anything that you have to add to this ad, synthesizers, deep bass, less use, which JP was talking about earlier of like P-Funk, as well. And then, in the late 90s going into 2000s, this area started to really influence dance, dress, speech, and JPZ spoke on this too.
G-Funk sort of, and G-Funk I find sort of collided with it a little bit as well. I find a lot of like G-Funk elements in like that mob music and that sound of, sometimes E40 in that. I hear that G-Funk sometimes.
Yeah, and confirmed today, E40 coined that phrase. Back in like the mid '90s as JPZ. Let us know as well. A couple notable albums that came out of the Bay Area. We've got Illegal Business by Mac Mall. In a Major Way by E40. That was his second studio album. A couple notes I want to make on that album. People that were on this album.
Mac
Tupac.
Mall?
No. Sorry, E40's In a Major Way.
Right, yeah.
Came out in 1995. It was his second studio album. Featured artists Tupac, Celly Cell, Mac Mall, Mac Sean, Spice One, Be Legit, Sugar T was on there. Some notable singles: One Love, Sprinkle Me. Both of those had videos, as did this one, Dusted and Disgusted. There was a remix video done. And a lot of people might not know this, but that video was actually only available through the purchase of that track in that album. It might be out there like YouTube or something now, but that was some news to me. Let's see who else we want to talk about real quick. Spice One's got a couple different albums on here. 187, without question. 187 he wrote, and Spice One's self-titled debut album, which was in 1992, had some tracks in there like Welcome to the Ghetto. Album. Man, 100%. Welcome to the Ghetto in My Neighborhood, 187 Proof. Had some dope.
It's a classic sound.
And he actually produced some of his own albums as well, as a matter of fact. His own tracks. And thus his own albums. Another dude I want to talk about, Young Lay. This was really dope. Fucked up, but interesting, I guess you could say. Not dope. That word. Very, very interesting and sad at the same time. So an artist by the name of Young Lay put out an album, Black and Dangerous, in 1996. Right. And was really, this dude was really going somewhere. And what happened in 1996, shortly after he put this album out, he was the victim of multiple shooting and stabbing attempts. Okay, because he ran in certain circles. In May of 1996, his girlfriend was killed. His 25-year-old son was kidnapped, and then the house was set on fire that this happened at to try and cover up the crimes. And a lot of things happened and transpired, obviously, from this traumatic experience for him. From that, so like he really ended up not going anywhere. But that track from the Bay Area, that whole album, Black and Dangerous from Young Lay, go check that out, because Young Lay was actually an artist featured on an album that we talked about earlier, and that was Mac Dre's The Rompulation. He was one of those featured artists.
That's
on there.
Honestly, that what you was talking about earlier, I was listening to that, and that's sick. That is sick. But that's one of the ones I haven't heard of, the Young Lay one.
So what thoughts do you want to give on kind of just Bay Area music, some albums that we just kind of spoke about, just the influence,
It's like literally like it's a particular sound as well. Like I say, it's just like that G-Funk sound. And some of it sometimes I felt like was a bit heavy. Like it's like proper, like all that with all obviously the right beat on it. But it was just like it really is a mob sound, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But E40, he's got to be the #1 legend of that Bay Area, isn't he? Really. But Yes.
I think that's fair to say. I think that's very fair to say, and I think that's a perfect segue to our hot take of the week. And our hot take of the week, with what we've been talking about today, you know, not just Discreet and I, but obviously, you know, again, shout out to our special guest of the day, JPZ. If you're just tapping in right now and you've not checked out that conversation, you need to go back and watch that conversation.
Definitely.
You got to go back to Thursdays and check out the conversation and show that we had with Sasha, and then certainly the one before
Sibo, that's another album as well.
Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah, oh man, that is fucking brilliant. That's probably one of my favorite albums. Was it 1993? About something like that.
Number 10, 1995. 1995. Right, that's the Sibo album.
Still, that's like awesome. That's Tales fucking awesome.
Tales
awesome
from the Crypt.
But sorry, I interrupted you there.
Bro, you're more than fine. You want to hear? Yeah. So we're gonna go in and get right into the hot take of the week. And the hot take of the week, I've got it written down here. It's simply a kind of yes or no. You accept this hot take or not. Mine is ultimately yes. For the hot take, but you know, kind of just speak on it just even a little bit as to why you say yes or no. And that's for anybody out there watching right now too, as well, if you know enough to answer this, right? So the Bay Area as a whole, their sound, their influence on the culture does not get the proper credit that it does. That is my hot take of the week. Bay Area music does not get the proper credit that it deserves. Do you people out there agree with me? And we're going to let Discreet gather his thoughts. But again, the influence that the Bay Area had on dance, dress, speech, cars, the culture as a whole, that is the hot take of the week. The Bay Area does not get the credit it deserves. Yes or no? Yes or no?
I would say yes, you're just about right, because I do hear it getting praised in that from time to time, but probably you're right, not enough. So I'd agree. Well, it doesn't get the credit it deserves.
No, I agree, and
it gets credit, but not enough.
And I think again, this is a hypothesis. This is a hot take, because my hot take is going to stay the way that it is. Bay Area music does not get the credit it deserves. Does anybody agree agree or disagree? Throw it in the comments. Let us know, and let us know your whys. But I think, and we this is sometimes a common theme on the show, like with respect to where music as a whole from a mainstream standpoint is today. I think, and I'm going to I saw something very interesting earlier this week too that I'm going to share with you kind of as my final thoughts this week. Because there's, from the popular sound, right? There's not original sound anymore. We talked about this when we talked about 90s hip hop a couple weeks ago. Like in the 90s, I remember distinct sounds. You heard somebody, you knew where they were from, or at least where their influence came from. Letitia Adams right there with me. I appreciate that. And I think that's a lot of reason why, honestly. And I think it's sad, because the Bay Area needs to give it shout outs, and that's what we're here about at We Outside. We're gonna give that credit where, like I say,
I don't hear it enough.
No. And I saw a statistic the other day, making music, right? Making hits, making music, from a popularity standpoint, 73.3% of people who consume and listen to music are not lyrical listeners.
No,
really listen to lyrics. 73.3% don't listen to lyrics. They're listening for that rhythm. They're listening for that flow. They're listening to something that they can groove to at the end of the day. Because think about it, like I think it kind of makes sense, because there's probably about 27% of people who are actually singing or spitting the lyrics out there.
I must admit, it's a hard one, because I could, like, a track could start and I could really enjoy the beat, and I think, oh, this beat's sick. But if then someone starts rapping and it really puts me off, there's part of me like, oh, this song's ruined.
Mm-hmm.
For example, right, when Future and Kendrick Lamar on that diss against Drake, one of the first ones,
like that, yep.
That beat, it comes in, I'm like, oh, this is sick, I fucking love this, and then Future starts, and it's just like, oh, For fuck's sake.
Oh man,
Really.
you know what I forgot to ask? I forgot to ask JPZ to explain his take on the Migos. I wanted to get to that, but we had such dope conversation today.
Yeah.
We had so dope. Yo,
but
Hectic,
it works the
Hectic's
other
in the
way
comments.
round.
Shout out to Hectic. Yo.
Oh, shout out Hectic, man.
Heck Gotti, the boogeyman. What's good, brother? What's good?
Oh man, he's sick. He's got some shit coming out soon, man. But it can happen the other way around. Sometimes I can hear something and a beat ain't particularly brilliant, but if they're talking about shit and they, it's good rapping, they've got their shit together, and they're convincing me that this is their life, then the beat's not so much important. But I always listen to both.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'll always be listening to both.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Heck, love is love, man. Heck, I know you're just joining us. We had a dope conversation with JPZ today. Definitely go back to the top of the show and watch that back. I mean, we literally ended up talking to him for an hour. It was dope. It was dope. We're about to hop off right now, but Discreet, dope show today. We're going back to KC. Bro. Going back to KC. Do you want to let people know? I know you've done a little research already. I might add some notes, but do you want to say anything about our special guest as to why people should be tuning in on Thursday with us? Go ahead. Who was our guest on Thursday? Who was our guest on Thursday, first and foremost?
Joe Black. No.
Joe Black. JOBLAQ. Go look up that right when we get off here, because you're about to see who's coming Thursday. Why should people tune in and listen to his conversation with us on Thursday, Discreet?
He's worked with, I mean, I don't like the guy personally, but you got to respect his success. He's worked with Justin Bieber. My mind's gone blank after that one, and that's the only one I can remember. Diana Ross.
Ludacris.
Ludacris, Chance the Rapper. There's other. Yeah, there's more. There's others.
And on. He's been a producer in the game since 2008. He's an artist himself as well.
Yeah.
He's got a
beautiful voice.
So we keep them coming, people. We're trying to give you the history. We're giving you the hot takes. We're giving you the realness. We're giving you the realness on the show. That's what it's about. We're a transparent show. It ain't about nothing but the culture. That's what it is with us here when we outside.
Exactly that, Mike.
So I'm excited. Dope show. I can't wait to go back and watch this show from today. Leave your comments, people. Discreet and I, we always go back and look at the comments and respond accordingly. If you got questions for us, if there's different topics that maybe y'all want to see, let us know as well in the comment section or reach out to us directly.
Definitely.
If you want to be a guest on this show, reach out to us. And I've got a couple other guests lined up for the very near future, right after Joe Black as well. So you and
I've got more in mind as well that we've already talked about, but it's on the list.
Let's get it going. I think I'm gonna go back and watch this performance Discreet. Should I go back? Because it's on Instagram now too.
You should.
It's on Instagram. The dude who shot the video at the show on Thursday. Yeah. It's on Instagram.
Your little interview with that guy as well was cool.
Yes, that was fun. I watched that. I watched the interview. I haven't watched the performance yet though.
No, you want to, man. One of the things I was dreading was watching it and thinking there'd be that moment where it all went wrong or something, and then it's all cringy, like, it's gone wrong. It didn't happen, bro. It did. You had that bit near the end where you forgot what word it was, but it wasn't. For me, that's one of them moments where you could have made it a lot worse and tried to get your words together and then gone totally off track and then didn't say nothing for the rest of the track. But you done the right thing. And honestly, you watch it back, you got nothing to worry about. I'm telling you.
I'm gonna get off here. I'm gonna go watch it back. And for anybody
it went very well.
If you go to Instagram, go to my Instagram page. I got tagged in it. The shout out to Team Low Entertainment here in Oklahoma City. Team Low Studios, or Teamwork Studios. Low, my bad. They shot the video that night. They took the interview, but my interview's up on Instagram. It's on my Facebook page as well. But if you want to go see the performance that I did, my first performance ever on this past Thursday that I haven't even watched yet, go to Instagram.
Bro, first performance, you got to be proud of it. You got to be proud of it. And there was even two guys. There was one who had his back to you when you first started, and he turned around and got up in front of you and was like, you stood there looking impressed. There was another guy who got his phone out when you started and recording you. So for a first performance, bro, honestly, And I was watching, thinking that went well, man. That went really well.
I appreciate that. So, all right. Who else is going to be the first person to go watch me perform before I watch myself perform?
Yeah, go on ahead. Heck, go see it, man.
But it's out there. It's on Instagram. The actual performance, the video that Chelsea took. Once I actually watch that back, I'll put that out on social media.
Yeah.
But
well. You got no worries watching it.
No, yeah. I'm excited. Like I said, it felt good for me on my end.
Yeah.
I gotta go back and watch it. It's been 3 days. I should go back.
Yeah. And watch it. Definitely.
So hey, man, everybody that's been tapping in, we're about to kick off here. But Thursday, Joe Black from Kansas City, who has worked with Diana Ross, Ludacris, Chance the Rapper, like you name a person, he's probably worked with them. He's an artist himself in addition. Justin Bieber, like bro, like it's the truth. So, and go back and watch this whole entire conversation that we had with JPZ today.
Definitely.
Again, shout out to Casey.
Loads of history about Kansas City, man. It wasn't just about the music.
Yeah,
you know what I
mean? We dived into a really dope conversation with him and his experiences, Kansas City to the Bay, E40, Tech 9, NBA YoungBoy, Yo Gotti, Richie Rich. Like that's what we spoke on today, with somebody who has direct ties to individuals, who has produced music for them, who has been on tracks with them. So if you want to hear a really dope conversation, go watch this today, because JPZ brought the knowledge, and we appreciate the hell out of him for that, bro. We appreciate everybody tapping in with us today, opening that door from outside. Discreet, aka the Alien. Y'all got to make sure that you're going to check out Discreet Productions. All his BeatStars beats are out there on beatstars.com.
Go on Facebook, you'll find the links on there to there, or follow me on Facebook and the BeatStars. But BeatStars, put in Forever Fresh.
Yep, BeatStars Forever Fresh. That's the number 4. So throw them 4s, Forever Fresh.
And hopefully by Tuesday morning in the UK, I will have a website as well.
There you go. So he's working on a website as well. There you go, my man. You got Discreet Radio. He just did his first album review. So if you're an independent underground artist out there that would like one of your albums reviewed, the man below me or above me, depending where he is on your screen, I don't know where, because I'm here and he's there.
Yeah.
Reach out to Discreet if you want your album reviewed.
Hit me up. Hit Mike up if you can. Hit me up. If you're watching on Mike's
hit one of us up. I'll put you on if you want to get your music heard and reviewed.
Definitely.
But listen, he comes correct. He's a producer. He does this for life. So
this is something I feel like I'm a very good judge of hip hop. I love this shit. I love it.
Yeah, buddy. So that's it, man. I know you got some shit you're working on today. I'm gonna do that. Get some time in with the family as well.
Definitely.
Oh, I will leave you with this. I asked Jupiter again last night about thinking out loud. Her response this time was, well, let me hear the lyrics. Let me hear the beat. So
that'd be great.
Yes,
it really would be great.
Yes, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it, brother. I know we're gonna talk later on, bro. I'll let you get back to it, and we'll catch up later. Hey, we're closing that door on the We Outside show today.
Exactly. Thank you, everyone.
Tune in Thursday and next Sunday, every Tuesday, every Thursday. We have a similar times next week.
Thursdays. You said Tuesday, Thursday.
Thank you. Yeah. Sundays and Thursdays. This Thursday we'll be popping off at 12:30 Central Time, which will be 6:30 UK time. Next week we're going to go to our official Thursday time frame, which will be 1:30 Central Time, 7:30 UK time. But every Sunday never has changed. 10:30 Central Time, 4:30 UK time. My brother, I appreciate the time and the conversation as always. You be well,
bro. And I will speak to you soon, bro.
Absolutely, man. Be good.
Cheers, bro. Peace.